Okay. It's still March 15th. It's like it's not going to change. March 15th, 2026. It is 9 shoot. It's 9:17 p.m. If I'm the new monarch, you're not going to make me go against my own, regardless of what they've done. You're persecuting them in LA. It's not going to help the situation. So you have gay occultists that are attacking my family. And then you're going to make it look like, because it's gay occultists, that because somebody else in the Harrington line is gay, that they're the ones orchestrating this. And so you're going to persecute them for being gay, which is discrimination, by the way. That's a hate crime. Discriminating against me for being Jewish, an African American, and a woman. Those were all hate crimes. You know that, Hollywood, right? Um, yeah. And for somebody's bloodline, you've been doing that to Kit Harrington ever since he's, been in the scene. And you've been giving him handlers, poisoning food, roofing drinks so that people don't remember hours at a time. The whole P. Diddy scene. You ever wonder maybe that's why you guys are so psychotic? Because when you do underhanded stuff like that, then you start thinking everybody's going to do it to you. And then you start freaking out and getting paranoid. Well, what do they really think? Because I'm doing this, so they must be doing this. Do you see how you create the psychosis of insanity, of fanaticism by doing this? Do you not understand? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I'm to the point where I think for medical health, seeing a psychiatrist should be free. And if there's an evaluation, there should be a secondary evaluation of that evaluation just to make sure that whatever the initial evaluation is, if they're crazy or not, gets evaluated. Because, fun fact, in Russia, one of the issues is psychology was closed off from the rest of the world. And so what Russia did, this was years ago, this was decades ago, what Russia did was pretty much kind of like what the United States is doing with the surveillance and monitoring, but it was a little bit more hardcore, where somebody would go to work, and if they were being community doxxed at work and angry and aggressive and like, what are you talking about, shut up, and don't talk about me like that, then they would be seen by a psychiatrist in mental health, and the psychiatrist was actually taught that this behavior of being defensive about certain things was classified a mental disorder, and therefore they would create the same scenario where it was legally allowed that the state would take control over that person and that person's medical health and physical health. In other words, that's another form of control of somebody else's, civil rights. And Russia did this through having psychology shut off from the rest of the world. So psychiatrists were taught this. Students in institutions were taught that this is the right way to go. This is something in history. And this is, again, the white man loves to do it. I'm going to say this, and this is probably going to be controversial. I understand what's going on in Ukraine. I understand why. Now, persecution again. Family killing family. They talked about it, how Ukraine would have over the borders in Russia their own family. Families in Russia have to watch as their families die just because they're in a different country, over a different line. We shouldn't be killing our families. The end of the world is when we start killing our brothers and sisters and neighbors. Do you not see that this is part of the end times? You could sit here and criticize my ideology, criticize, the limitations of my religious scripture. But I think I know enough to see that these concepts of holy wars are not holy. You are creating the forefront for the mark of the beast. Do you see that? And us targeted individuals are not the mark of the beast. We are the renewal. Because you have created the destruction. We have to destroy all of that is evil, creating the destruction. That is not the mark of the beast. That is renewal and ascension. Because so much has been destroyed. So much has been corrupted and darkened. But what I was going to say that is controversial, going back to Russia. I have a level of respect for Putin. He holds himself well. He's disciplined. He knows how to rule with an iron fist. I don't agree with all of his tactics, but I do understand why they're there. So I have a level of respect for that. But again, it doesn't mean that I agree with everything. He's basically mafia. He rules through fear. I see why that works. But when you rule through fear, you create a pressure that eventually becomes war. And, the same can be said about like Venezuela, ruling through actually helping the people. You can help the people and everybody's happy except for that group, that one group. And then they assassinate the dictator that's actually good for the people. It goes both ways. We have to understand that. I think we just need to find tactics to minimize the destruction of both. Food for thought.